Thanks for tuning in to The Real Deal Show, brought to you by ebodyboarding.com and Tribe Boards. Hey everybody, Jay Reale back at you once again with The Real Deal Show. And this is a guy sitting next to me that I've been wanting to get on the show for a while. He's a guy I've known for many years, a local bodyboarder here in South Orange County, California, but also becoming a bit of a world traveler, or at least a national traveler. We'll get into that in a minute. This man's name is Chad Stickney. What's up, Chad?
How's it going, Jay?
Chad Stickney is a South Laguna local, right?
Born and raised. I was born in the hospital in South Laguna and been there ever since.
There you go, man. So he's been, in this area for many years. How old are you now, Chad?
I just turned 42.
You're a youngster compared to me.
I don't know about that. I have to wake up every morning and stretch.
Right on. So do I. Believe me, man. So, Chad, tell me, you grew up in South Laguna. That place is chock full of hidden secrets. I'm not going to ask you to reveal any of those secrets, but tell me about your upbringing. I mean, do you have brothers and sisters? Did your parents get involved with your life in the ocean at an early age? How did that all happen?
So I have one older brother. He's about 5 years older. When I went into high school, he was getting out of there. Yeah. So we weren't really that close. We're not that close anymore.
Yeah.
And growing up, I was on the surf team in middle school and high school, and my mom was helping out with it and stuff. So yeah, we were doing contests back then up in river jetties and down in creek, and we'd compete against like Eddie Solomon and Curtis Knopp and a couple other people.
So these were school contests, so you were on like the surf team at your school.
Yeah.
And all those guys were Dana Hills, and you probably competed against San Clemente. And
no, it was like mostly Dana Hills, and then up in like river jetties area.
Okay,
like
Newport.
It was weird how it was like. We didn't really go against San Clemente too much. I don't remember.
Huh. Okay. So did you did the school contest and the surf team and stuff, but did you do like BIA events or any of those Maury events they used to have back in the day?
Not the Maury ones, but I definitely went to a lot of the BIAs. I'm not sure if I competed in any. I definitely did the ones on the flow rider because I was pretty good at the flow rider back then.
Yeah.
But in the ocean, it wasn't really the waves I like to ride,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what are the waves you like to ride?
Well, now it's anything.
Obviously,
now I'm more looking for unicorns, but growing up, I really liked wedges, Laguna's full of wedges, and then going to the wedge later in life more when I was like 19 and 20, I started to go up there. It was pretty cool, and yeah, there's just a lot of good waves around here.
Now, you're a big guy. How tall are you?
6'5".
Okay, so a 6'5" guy, a mushy, weak wave isn't going to do you any favors.
No, I'm probably having more fun on them.
Yeah, well, that's right. And we'll get into that because you have boards for everything, which we're going to talk about. By the way, I keep alluding to this. Chad is doing a project right now called Boogie 50 States. And he's trying to ride his bodyboard in all 50 states. And we'll dive into that in a minute. But back to your youth, did you do any other sports growing up, or was bodyboarding and the beach kind of it for you?
Yeah, definitely. Lots of sports in Southern California. In California, you can do everything. I got into mountain biking since I live at the top of Laguna.
Yep.
I don't really do it anymore because I don't want to drop $5 to $10 grand into a good setup.
Yep.
What else? Skateboarding I did a lot. That's how I really got into filmmaking, was through skateboarding, because like when I get out of school, the wind was always bad for surfing.
Yep.
Most of the time, not always. And
late afternoon.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I just grabbed my skateboard and I could go skateboard almost every day unless it was raining. And then my dad was born and raised in Upland, so he'd take me to Mount Baldy and skiing and snowboarding at a young age. So it's pretty cool. I got to do all those different sports.
And the funny thing, not funny, but appropriate, is that you still do all that stuff. I mean, if you follow Chad, and by the way, you should follow him on YouTube. It's Chad Stickney is his YouTube channel. It's Stickney is his last name. He has videos, 200 or some odd videos on his YouTube channel now. Going back for many years, he highlights all of this stuff, the bodyboarding, the skateboarding, and the snowboarding, and he seeks out places that other people don't know about, and you'll have to pin him down and hold a gun to his head to get him to tell you where some of these are, I'm sure. Again, I'm not going to give up the secrets, but you mentioned that skateboarding is what got you into filmmaking. So you've obviously got a ton of videos on YouTube. You got into filmmaking, to take videos of you and your buddies skating and snowboarding and stuff back in the day?
Yeah, and I'm kind of seeing now that my parents passed and going through the stuff they have. My dad was into filmmaking.
Oh, wow.
Had VHS cameras, like where you had to have the VCR on the side of your...
Yeah. Yeah.
He brought it to Disneyland when I was like 5, and now I'm seeing the footage going through, digitizing it, and I'm like, wow. And it's like,
so
the
it's
footage
in the
back
blood.
then is like my dad carrying, and you see people looking at him all weird, like, look at this weird guy with the camera, but now it's so normal.
Yeah, not many people had them. There were those huge ones with a full-size VHS cassette that went in the camera, or it had like a cable to a deck that you hung around your neck.
That's what he had.
That's gnarly. He was an early adopter then, and it obviously carried on in the bloodline that you kind of got into filmmaking.
Yeah, I'm starting to realize that now, going through all the family stuff,
So, my first really connection with you, Chad, probably we connected at a beach somewhere many years ago, but you sort of came on the radar when you made some bodyboarding videos. What videos did you come out with back in the day?
They were called Segregation, and I did 3 of them. One's on YouTube now, the third one, just because the whole trying to make $1 off the videos went strictly to the internet.
Yeah.
And
Did you put that on YouTube?
The third one, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's somewhere on there in my videos. Yeah. And the other 2 I made DVDs and kind of like didn't make any money, but had a fun time doing it,
Yeah, what were the other 2?
It was Segregation 1 and 2.
Yeah, we used to sell them, by the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
It was the second one, I think I called it Segregation 2, 1 Finger Victory Salute.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I had any waves. I think I might have had a wave or 2 in 1 or 2 of them. Can't remember.
Maybe at Salt Creek.
Yeah, but that was the heyday of bodyboarding videos. It was the 90s.
Yeah, or for me, I got on it kind of at the ends of the late 90s because I was graduating at 98. It was probably the early 2000s or maybe even like the mid 2000s when I was doing it, if I think back.
And that was right at sort of the end of that golden era of bodyboarding videos, when the internet and YouTube was taking the place of that.
Yeah, and then that was kind of when the magazines were starting to die.
They were folding, yeah. So is on the internet now. But you obviously still had the camera gear, and you continue to just video your kind of day-to-day life. But you had you had a side business, and this was called handcrafted water housings, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So that's what pretty much funded all those bodyboard DVDs and my travels for years.
Yeah.
Luckily, my parents let me sleep at the house for so long and really helped me out. But those were camera water housings, and I'd custom make them out of fiberglass. I ended up buying one for my bodyboard DVD through this guy, Dale Kopatek. And the guy is a lagger, and I had to keep showing up at his house because the phone would go out, and I wanted my housing, and I'd see it in different stages, and then by the time he was delivering me in my first housing, I was already trying to build my own.
I heard a lot of stories about Dale not coming through.
Oh, yeah.
Taking months and months to build housings.
There's a whole formula in getting a housing from him. You just don't give him the money until it's done. Maybe put 100 down or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So you decided, screw this, I'm not waiting anymore, I'm going to build my own.
Yeah.
And you just taught yourself how to build a water housing?
Kind of, from working with fiberglass, fixing skimboards and stuff, because my parents would never buy me new boards and stuff. I'd get my friend's beater and have to fix it, and I figured out how to use all those materials and just kind of saw what he was doing and tried it on my own, you know.
And it worked. It worked. Did you have some failures though? Ones that
Oh yeah,
flooded?
all camera housing manufacturers have had failures for sure. But like first one worked, yeah. There's a way to test them and make sure that they're airtight and whatnot. Yeah.
Well, I imagine you could just put an empty housing in a bathtub and then see if there's any water in it, right?
Yeah, but,
like that. But
what we were doing was putting water inside the housing, and then you put Alka-Seltzer on the inside there, but like somewhere where it stays dry.
Oh.
And you put the top of seal the housing.
Yep.
And then you let the water hit the Alka-Seltzer, and it creates pressure inside the housing, and you put it in like a bathtub, like you were saying, and you can see air bubbles coming out. Out of it, like kind of like if you fix your bike tire, you know.
Yeah.
Similar to that.
You got the pressure on the inside, forcing air bubbles out. That's how you can see if it leaks. Totally makes sense. So, you did the handcrafted water housings. You had produced some bodyboarding videos, which, if I know much about bodyboarding videos, those don't really pay the bills a whole lot. It's more like a labor of love, right?
For sure.
You just really want to highlight your sport. And, you know, you sort of morph that into what you're doing now, and that is, let's dive into this. It's the Boogie 50 States. Tell me about how you got started wanting to do this project.
Okay, so last year, or maybe the previous year, it was Jamie O'Brien and Ben Gravy went to this river wave in Montana. I'd never seen anything like it. It's no longer there. The state of Montana added a few rocks and kind of screwed it up. But when Jamie was in Laguna riding the river wave with us, I asked his filmer, like, hey, how is that river wave? And he said, oh, you mean Montana. So then right then I knew it was in Montana. I told my friend that's a skier and he's pretty good at recon about it, and he watched their vlogs, dude, because he knew Montana. He found this shot of Jamie in front of Albertsons, and he knew Montana only has like 3 or 4, you know,
like standing waves.
Or no, 3 or 4 cities with Albertsons.
Oh, right. Oh,
so then he found the Albertsons on Google Earth, and Jamie probably said in the vlog, I can't remember, oh, we got to drive 45 minutes, and he just started
doing some math, looking at maps.
He found it fast and sent it to me, and I showed up last year and it wasn't going, but I hit a bunch of other waves on the way, and then by the end of that trip, because I hit, what did I hit on the, we started out in Mammoth. We were doing a ski, snowboard, skate kind of thing, and last year all the mountains started to shut down real fast before the closing date, you know, they have their closing date set.
Yep.
But there was no snow, so it started closing fast. So we cut over through Idaho and then into Wyoming, and that's where one of the raves is. It's called the Snake River.
Yep.
And
lunch counter, isn't there? Yep.
That was a really fun wave. It really scared me, actually.
Yeah, I remember, this is going way back. Danny Kim, Ben Severson.
I've never seen this. I've only heard about it.
Some pro surfers. Yeah, they went there in the 80s. Yep. You know, when that was first kind of on the map, the Body Glove team went there and surfed and bodyboarded there. I think there is footage in some video. I just don't know which one.
Yeah.
Maybe Tom Boyle. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and then from there, I spent a week there, I want to say, because I had so much fun. It was a cool place. Then we went through Yellowstone, some place I normally would never think of stopping. But since I was in the area, I was like, I might as well do it.
Yeah.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime type of deal.
Yep.
Did that for 3 days, then we went into Montana, and my buddy Eric Thomas, you remember him?
Sure.
Yeah. River surfer. He was just staying at my house while I was in Mexico.
Yeah, I saw the pictures on Instagram. Now he's on a cruise.
Yeah, flow riding.
Yeah, of course.
For sure. He was kind of giving me the spots, dropping them on a map. Saying, yeah, this is it. And you should check, like, because he knew where I was, you should check this area. So I surfed a few fun waves there. And then snowboarded Beartooth Basin. It's kind of like Mount Hood, but more big mountain riding.
So it's like year round, like Mount Hood is? No.
It's on the Beartooth Pass Highway, and they only open it after Memorial Day.
Okay.
And I had researched it years ago because I was into Mount Hood and, summertime snowboarding.
Yeah, you were going up there. Yep.
So I was in the area. I was like, oh, I'm going to go check this off too. And I checked that off, and it was rad. I was more into the car laps. It was like everyone's tailgating right on the side of the road looking up, and there's all these different passes, and you hitchhike or put a beer out for the guy that's driving by in his car, and they give you a ride like 15 minutes up the pass, and then you walk for a mile just across the dirt plateau, and you're on top of some big lines, and then
you ride down, and it's like untracked.
Well, it's summertime,
summer,
so
you just
it's
take
like,
what you get.
It's kind of a party. It was like a Warren Miller ski movie.
Yeah,
it was super cool. I'm going to go back actually this year, the same weekend.
That's so cool that still exists, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
And I know there's a few patches in the San Bernardino and San Gabriel mountains
for sure
that you hit up that people don't know about. On big snow years, it might last until maybe May or even later, right?
Yeah, like 2 years ago during COVID, we were riding it until like June, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's sick. Yeah.
I learned about that when I was like 13 from the skate shop in Laguna. Galaxy Sports. The guys told me and my dad took me in. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, way before the internet days.
Sure.
You had to have the word of mouth.
Yep. Now people Instagram that stuff and people are all over it,
for
right?
Sure.
All it takes is one person to say where it is, and then it probably kind of ruins some of those spots.
Yeah.
But there's still a few hidden gems that you seem to be finding out there.
Yeah.
I was watching one of your videos this morning, the one where you went to Lake Havasu, and on your way back, there's this place that you have called the Nude Bowl.
It's a famous skate spot. They've resurrected it like 3 times. If you look it up on Google and Wikipedia, it kind of lays it out for you.
Wow. Yeah, it looked cool. It's
colony.
like you're driving down this dirt road, man, I guess in the Coachella Valley somewhere.
Yeah. I think it's the road that turns right there to go to, what's that one?
Joshua Tree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, that looked cool. But let's talk about Havasu. I mean, you got some little sort of right point break waves, and then you ran into another bodyboarder. What are the odds of that, man?
That was pretty cool. I was pretty amping on that, actually.
Yeah, it seemed
cool.
like
And he doesn't even have Instagram or Facebook. Like he was videoing himself with his cell phone on the side of the beach. Yeah.
There's a part of me that envies people that don't have cell phones or social media. Yeah. Because, I mean, I grew up in the 70s, mostly, partially the 80s, and we didn't have any of that stuff, and life was a lot simpler, Like, people couldn't reach you constantly all the time everywhere you were.
I was talking about that yesterday.
And if you left your house, that was it.
Yeah.
Dude, people couldn't reach you unless you physically ran into them, right? So
I have a friend
life
like
was more simple. Yeah. And we get customers in here sometimes. They'll be like, "Oh, I don't have an email address. I don't have a phone."
Yeah.
And I always say to them, good for you, man. I could in modern society raising children. As you know, you can't do that anymore. You can't just not have that unless you live out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Which is a sad thing, but it's a love-hate relationship. But I digress. I got off the track here. So I'm just going to do a quick sidebar. You spent a lot of time south of the border.
Yeah.
Right? You love it down there.
I have a pretty much my second home. I rent down there. Might buy a house. I don't know. I'm still like debating it in my head if it's worth it. It's way cheaper than anything you can get around here.
So we won't say where it is, but do you think you'll end up down there someday? Like retire down there? Do you love it that much, or do you always? I know you have a son, Oliver, right?
Yeah, and a daughter, Lily.
So you have 2 kids back up here. So would that keep you from spending all your time down there? You want to kind of jump back and forth?
I like it down there, but there's so much drama with the white guys that have moved down there. It's like I can only handle it for so long.
Yeah.
And then I come home, and luckily I have more sports like skateboarding, snowboarding, where they're just single track. It's surfing only,
Yeah, I hear you.
Luckily, I can go all over the place and be happy, you know?
I know, it seems like it.
I think if you just sit there, where down there in Mexico, the waves are good all year. Once I figured that out, I stopped going to Hawaii.
Sure.
I think you get jaded, man. I've seen it with a lot of the old guys.
Yeah, well, you seem like every trip, well, not every trip, but a lot of trips you go on, you mix your loves for, like, you'll skateboard and bodyboard or snowboard and skate. You'll mix it up, so you don't have to be by the beach, man. You're making your own fun.
For sure.
And you got this killer rig that you travel in, which is awesome. You can pretty much, you're self-contained in that thing.
Yeah.
So you're really living the life. And that brings us back to the 50 states thing. So let's talk about it. How many states have you done so far?
I think I'm on 18 right now. I'll take you out after this. You can look on the back of my RV. I bought one of those maps where you put the sticker in.
Oh, killer. Perfect.
But I didn't hit every state in the RV, so.
Okay. But will you still put a sticker on if you surf
it's
that
not
state?
for the RV. It's more for the boogie.
Sure. For the promotion of the whole thing.
It's not surf, but boogie.
Yeah, so you have a hashtag. It's hashtag Boogie50States.
Yeah.
Chad just gave us some killer t-shirts that say Boogie 50 States, and his videos are on his YouTube channel with the states that he's visited so far, and a lot of those places were in the upper Midwest at a really cold time of year. Like, we're talking November. In Lake Superior in particular, that video was insane because you got like 8-foot waves over there or something like that. The locals were flipping out.
I did a few trips there. I did 3 different trips to the Great Lakes this year. I'll probably go back for sure next year. I'm probably going to drive to the East Coast for hurricane season and hit the first couple of Northeasters and then drive across and set up there in the van. But yeah, the Great Lakes, the locals are super friendly. I've never experienced anything like that, you know? And the first trip was cold, but it was still like 40 degrees out. But when the water was still pretty cold, you know, I didn't really realize how cold it gets. My friend J.D. Johnson, who I grew up in with Laguna, we were on the surf team together, boogieing. He lives out there, and he's kind of the one that got me interested in it because he'd send me photos when it was going off.
And he's in a bunch of your videos where you're like staying at his house. Is that the guy?
Yeah, so he used to work for Target. He was the Target team manager for the surf. Target, and then he worked for Red Bull.
Okay.
So he was surfing for a bunch of years, and then when I went there, the first trip to Stony Point, he watched me get a couple tubes, and he's like, "Damn, dude, I haven't gotten the tube for so long that I just left him my board and my fins, and now he just wants the boogie. He doesn't want to."
Totally inspired him to get back into
on the boogie, and he still has the same style as we did when we were kids. I can see it in the videos.
He must be so amped because now he lives in the Midwest and he can ride waves again. And he can stay out there where it's, you know, probably nice and peaceful and isolated. He's not in the crazy Southern California environment.
Oh, he misses it here.
Does he?
Yeah, you get cabin fever, it sounds like. I talk to him like 4 times a week, so
wow,
you can get cabin fever, but he kind of lives like 2 hours from the lake, so he's not right on it. Like, he lives on a smaller lake.
Okay.
In the video, you saw a lake through the house, but his lake's smaller.
Can't surf it. Too small. Not enough fetch.
Yep, and so he has to drive a couple hours, you know.
Wow. So, and in Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, which one's?
Yeah, Lake Superior is where Minnesota is. That probably has the best waves from what I've seen.
Because it's oriented the right way, like
the shoreline too.
Shoreline,
the way the shore drops, like in what is it, Lake Michigan, like Indianapolis in Indiana. It's like a long shoal. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Kind of like Oregon.
Shallow, really far out. Yep.
Yeah, it's like
and it
Oregon
cuts
or
down
NorCal, you know, where it's like so far out. You're like, well, I'm never gonna make it out there.
Oh, right. And it kind of reduces the energy of the waves a little bit unless you're right on the shelf.
I was kind of figuring it out when I was there. It was almost like the better waves were the ones in the middle where it like double up and dump again. You know?
Oh, right. Yeah. Interesting. Let's talk about the coldest session you've had, because, man, it looked freaking freezing in a couple of those.
That was the one.
Because you went to Tahoe, too, and had like surfed during a blizzard, didn't you?
Yeah, but I wasn't stoked on the footage I got. I kind of blew it because I'm starting to figure out, like, even if the wave's not barreling, I gotta have my GoPro on for backup footage.
Yeah.
And, like, I have my buddy in the car with my phone and trying to video, but, like, I didn't get as much footage as I would have wanted on that session. Like, I got a 360 down. It was, like, pretty fun, actually. I'm going to do it again, for sure.
Well, do you have, like, a sort of a rule when you surf one of these novelty sort of spots, like a lake, like, I have to catch 3 waves, or I have to do a 360, or it doesn't count? Do you have any kind of rule like that? Or if you're on a river wave, I have to be 1 minute on the wave or it doesn't count. Do you have any of that kind of stuff? Or you just like, screw it. If I ride the wave and I'm on the power of the wave, even 1 wave, that counts. Do you have any of that?
So when Ben Gravy invited me to Nebraska,
Yeah.
on that, and then we went to Minnesota on that trip you're talking
Yep.
about. We were talking about this.
Okay.
Because we're all making the rules, right?
Sure.
It's like you got to ride 10 feet. It's kind of the whole thing.
Got it.
But like on a river wave, how do you do that is what I'm trying to figure out.
So you should have a time.
But at least on a river wave, you should be able on a boogie. This is my thoughts on it. You should be able to plane where you don't have to put your feet down.
Right.
Or even like Lake Havasu, the first trip I went there, I was able to get pushed where I didn't really have to kick, and ride.
Right.
Yeah. So I get more stoked if I can do a 360 or a maneuver.
Yeah, because then you're like,
sure.
I rode that wave for sure. It was enough push to do a 360, especially at 6'7". Yeah. Now, when I surf in the ocean, my rule is every session I have to catch at least 3 waves, which is kind of a carryover to this guy named, I think his name was Dale Webster, a Northern California guy. He surfed for like 24 years straight every day or something like that. It was in one of the maybe Endless Summer 2 or some surf movie, and the dude would surf 3 waves was a session for him, and he surfed literally every single day for like 22 years or 24 years. Just mind-boggling. I mean, how do you do that when people get sick, people get in accidents, there's weddings? I mean, he would have never left his area for 24. It sounds miserable to me, but anyway, I got off track again. So we were talking about your coldest session ever. What was it? And what was the water temp?
It was that session with Ben Gravy at Stony Point.
Minnesota.
It was
air temp, water
7
temp?
degrees.
Oh, 7.
Air temp.
Oh my God.
It looked like in the video while we were pulling up, I could kind of see it in the corner, like on the car.
On the car, yeah.
And then the water temp was 32 degrees, where I'm an idiot. I put my GoPro on, like I told you, I'm not going to not wear it anymore.
It froze.
It froze like an ice cube. I didn't even get one shot from it.
Oh my God.
And then I started to realize it, so I washed in and I went up to Ben's filmer and I asked him, like, hey, I can't get it off. What's going on? And it was like the whole strap was frozen.
It was a sheet of ice.
And he's like, he looked at me and I'm like, oh, I'm not getting it off. He's like, oh no. I'm like, all right. I just jumped back in the water and kept going.
Oh my God. Is that the video where you had like literally a sheet of ice on your head?
Yeah.
And you had to get in the car, turn the heater on to defrost it just to get the helmet off?
Yeah.
That's gnarly. So,
I would never wear it on that temp. Now, knowing what I know, I would never do that again, because then like I was starting to get claustrophobic with the helmet on and I couldn't get it off.
I like pour some hot coffee on my head right now.
Hot water might do it really
for
fast.
Sure. Because I grew up in Maryland and we used to surf. The water would be upper 30s and sometimes snowing, but sometimes if it was like a freezing rainstorm, your doors would freeze shut in your car, and the solution was to bring out a bucket of hot water and pour it on your doors to melt the ice quickly open the door because it'll freeze again. But tell me about your wetsuit setup in 32-degree water and 7-degree air temperatures.
That's a good one.
What wetsuit are you wearing? How thick is it? Booties, gloves? What are we talking?
So, like you said, I'm a tall dude, 6'5". And a lot of these wetsuit companies, like COVID, it's hard to find suits.
Yep.
So I got a Need Essentials. It's a 6'4'3", which my buddy was trying to tell me I needed a 6'4'5".
Right.
but I couldn't find anything at the time, so that's what I went with.
Yep.
And it worked really good the whole time. But that session, I had Ben Gravy had a, what is it, like a 1.5 mil Hyperflex top.
Underneath.
No, I had him pull it over the top.
Oh, on the outside of the stick.
So the outside was blue. That was his.
Okay.
And I don't know if it helped or not. I can't tell you.
Extra millimeter can always help.
Because it froze pretty gnarly.
And what gloves and booties are you wearing?
Got a pair of gloves from you, but I was wearing 7 mil mittens made from Rip Curl, and then they're Rip Curl 7 mil booties.
Yep.
And then you have to, because they're 7 mil surfer booties, you have to upsize your fin 2 sizes.
Sure.
So yeah, I was wearing a triple X.
Oh yeah, and that was a yucca fins.
Or was it triple? Yeah, double X was tight, so I went triple.
Yep.
But the weight is so much more. I'm tripping on it. Like, I want to try next year when I go and it's not freezing yet. I'm gonna wear those 5 mil booties you sell.
Yep.
And then try to wear my normal XL yucca, but I'll get them with no padding, so it slides in,
more
fits
room.
better. Yeah.
What I used to do in Maryland is I wore normally medium large Churchills, but in the winter I'd have 5 mil booties with the hard rubber sole, and I'd have to wear double or the extra large, 2 sizes bigger, like you said. But they were so big and like clown shoes, I would cut the blade. So I'd cut like 2 inches off of the blade so they weren't so heavy and big, and that worked for me.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I mean,
I only, when I put the XL up to the double X or the triple X, there was only like that much difference, so I didn't think that was going to add more, but who knows, it's probably a little like wider and upscaled, and there's probably definitely more rubber is what I would imagine.
Yeah, and the rubber sole, that takes up a ton of space inside of a fin. Totally get it. So
and it's so hard like to get them off. Getting them on is pretty easy, but like when I did up the Upper Peninsula, I rode these point breaks, and every wave you had to get out and walk back the Upper Peninsula of the Great Lakes. It was kind of like a recon type setup.
Yep.
You had, I would be like flopping around on the cobblestones trying to put my thumb through.
Oh my God, that's crazy. So you're changing outside when it's freezing cold?
No, you want to get in your car.
You got to get in, for sure.
You want to get in your wetsuit in the car.
Yeah, there's no way you could change outside.
You could, but
we never did. I mean, in Maryland, I would throw a blanket on my seat and drive home with booties, gloves.
I would
get in the shower.
Now knowing what I know,
it's so nuts, man. Yeah. That's so crazy. So okay, so you've been to all these states, but plenty more to go. Like, where do you see yourself? We talked about your next move. You're going to go to the Mid-Atlantic or the Northeast in the hurricane season.
No,
and hit the Midwest.
So in 4 days, I'm out of here.
Oh, in 4 days, you're going to the Midwest this time, right?
No, like Middle America.
Yeah, the center of the country, Oklahoma, that area down there, the Midwest.
It's funny as I do these. Like, someone saw my Havasu video and they sent me this wave in a canal, and even River Surfer didn't know about it, and I watched it, or I looked at it, I sent it to Ben Gravy, and he's like, oh, I think Jamie did one here. And then, and he sent me the edit, and it's like, for sure, the spot. And I'm going to hit that, and then New Mexico, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, what's about that, Missouri, and then probably Iowa, and then cut across and hit South Dakota. But South Dakota, the one Ben did, doesn't look that interesting, and he says he's found a different option.
Is he sharing that with you?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good.
We text each other.
So for those of you who don't know who we're talking about, Ben Gravy, and most of you do that are in the world of wave riding. Ben, his last name is Grafe, but his Instagram is Ben Gravy, and he's built a brand around it. He's from New Jersey, and he calls himself a semi-pro surfer, and he basically built a career around surfing novelty waves, which culminated in him surfing all 50 states in the United States. So he rode river waves, lake waves, wave pools, and beach ocean waves as well. And he finally finished his 50th state was Alaska, I think, at the end of that whole thing. That was 3 years ago, maybe. And Chad sort of said, man, I want to do something similar with bodyboarding. And Ben and you've been on a couple of the trips with Ben and it's in your videos, and you even appear in a couple of Ben's videos. And he's sharing information with you now, right?
Well, yeah, and then I share information with him.
With him. So it's like a really cool little vibe that goes on with, I guess you could call yourself the novelty bodyboarder in a way. And just the people, like you said, that send you videos. They're like, hey, man, you should come to my
That's how I
state.
found Havasu. Is remember Robbo?
Yeah.
Robbo is like watching my adventure, and he sent me a text, and he's like, look what my cousin posted today. And it was on Instagram, and he sent me the screenshot. I was like, holy crap. And then I sent it to Ben, and of course Ben goes straight to the Windy app and snaps the, and so then I was like, oh God, this is like a land race.
Yeah,
I better get on it. And actually, I was coming home from a ski trip from Tahoe.
Yeah.
I was driving along the 395, and my van's
blowing around.
And I'm like, whoa, I wonder what's going on right now. And I pulled over at like the Pilot little gas station to fill up, and I started looking at the Windy app. I'm like, holy crap, Havasu's going to be going off in about 12 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And so I went home because it was like the kids were ready to go home. I dropped them off at Nicole's house, and then Christian was at my house. I'm like, jump in the car. I wasn't even home for 7 hours.
Just went straight back.
Straight to Havasu.
Up the 15.
Yep, up the 15. Yeah.
God, that's amazing. So it's so cool that you have the ability to sort of drop everything at a moment's notice and go to these far-flung places in search of waves, and you have this quest to surf waves. Do you have a destination that you want to hit as your last state? Have you thought that far in advance, or are you just kind of doing it as they come?
I know. I'm getting close to 25, so I'm trying to make maybe Colorado 25.
Okay.
But I don't know for the last one. If I have the chance where someone invites me, like how Ben ended in Alaska, I have a buddy that did the same tidal board thing. And if he invites me, I'm just going to go for it. So who knows which one I'll end up on last. And kind of on the East Coast, too, I don't want to, like, just surf a crappy wave to surf a wave in the state. I gotta rather try to score it, you know?
Yep. Yeah. Just time it with a hurricane or coastal storm. Yeah.
I mean, if I'm sitting there, I'll probably go surf it for the first time, but I'd rather sit there and try to get a good swell there, you know?
Yeah.
Same with the Gulf.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know? Even more fickle. Yeah. I have a friend in Florida. His name's Jason Doyle, and he's so dialed in.
I watched his solo shot. He has solo shot, and so I bought one because I got sick of having my friend on the beach, and he's like, oh, I missed the shot. And you know he's looking at his phone.
Yeah, right, because he's bored.
And so I got the solo shot. I've been using it in Mexico. That thing works like 75% of the time pretty well.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I've seen Jason's footage, and a lot of times his wife is taking pictures too, but I think he wants some insurance.
With him when I go to Florida.
He's a good guy. He knows. With him. Yep. He's a great guy. He knows all the weather patterns. He knows when the Gulf is working, when the East Coast is working. Yeah. You couldn't really connect with a better guy down there, you know.
Yeah, I just hit him up randomly through YouTube.
Yeah,
I was watching his videos, you know.
I think I met him many years ago when I was there for like the PSA contest or the Bud Surf Tour events, and I went over there for a hurricane swell about 4 years ago, Hurricane Maria, and got sick waves. I was there for like 2 days, and Jason and I surfed with him the whole time. I surfed like 7 sessions in 2 days.
Was that on the Gulf side?
No, it was on the East Coast.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got really good surf on that trip. I timed it, you know. I saw the hurricane coming, and I was like looking for tickets. I found cheap tickets and a cheap motel, like, and just went solo mission and met up with him. And great resource. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys get into on the Gulf side and on the East Coast. And I know you've connected with some guys I know up further north, like where I'm from, up in Maryland, and
Yeah, from Texas, actually. I met a
yeah,
bunch of your
met him
friends,
in
so that was
Texas.
pretty
Yeah,
cool, for
yeah.
sure.
So that'll be super cool to see what you got coming up. But yeah, don't forget to check Chad's YouTube channel, Chad Stickney, again. And you can log on to his YouTube. And he has an Instagram too. Is it just your name? Chad, at Chad Stickney?
Yeah, I think it's at Chad_Stickney.
Underscore. Got
Maybe
it.
the YouTube too. I can't remember offhand.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, if you type in, go to YouTube and you type, Chad's name, you'll see his channel on there. And yeah, I was just watching videos of, I was catching up on your videos this morning.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap things up, Chad? I mean, you're on this quest.
Yeah.
It's super cool. People can like send you info or intel even on your local areas if they have
to the messages unless they're really weird, you know?
Have you gotten some really weird ones?
Not really, but you never know.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I've met some weird
freaks
people
out there.
that are into Ben Gravy, and Ben's like, oh yeah, I had to block that person.
Oh my gosh. Like stalkers kind of thing.
For sure.
I can only imagine what that must be like, man. So, yeah, we're stoked to interview Chad. We're stoked to see what you're doing with bodyboarding, and you know, you're basically taking the love of the sport in this 2021 was the 50th anniversary of the Boogie, and that's part of the reason why you really started highlighting this Boogie 50 states, right?
Yeah, we had full ADD style, and I forgot to tell you, but last year while I was doing that river trip, that's kind of what lit the fuse of me doing the 50 states, because I was like, damn, I've done about 8 now.
Yep.
I was up by Oregon, and then I hit Jared Dupree hit me up, said there was a swell at his home spot, so I drove to Washington and knocked that one out, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what lit it. But when I was in North Dakota riding maybe one of the not so good waves that I rode so far out of all the states, I thought about it. I was like, holy crap, I'm doing this 50 mission on the 50th year. It started, you know?
Yeah, and I have a question along those lines. Two real quick question here is, what's the worst state you've been to for waves so far? What's the best?
I can't answer though, but so far? Oh yeah, so far.
So far.
North Dakota is probably going to win.
Was it just I think I saw the video, it was like a tiny little whitewater that big on a river, and you could barely stay on it.
The whole joke was, and the whole reason I got in contact with Gravy was through Monroe. Monroe pointed him my way.
Yep.
And I hit Monroe up, and I sent him a thing on the map, and it's like most of the state lines are on waterways.
So you could do 2 states in one shot.
The side Ben did was on Minnesota side, and he was claiming it was North Dakota. So it's a little joke. I called it incomplete. I go, look, Monroe, it's incomplete. And I sent him the thing. And so Ben's sending me like map pictures with like the line, and then I'm like, well, look at Google, dude.
We got to go to the land survey office in the state capital.
It's funny, now I have my son doing it. I brought my son to get his autograph at the surf shop in Laguna when he did the thing, and my son's like, what was it? North Dakota's incomplete.
He didn't finish. It's a sham. Ben Gravy.
He's a legend, man. He is. Take it to the next level.
I love his
incredible.
Yeah, he brings the fun, man. He surfs for the right reasons, it seems.
Yeah, and just the way he thinks outside of the bubble, man. Like, with this tanker surfing and everything. Yeah. Takes it to the next level.
That's so cool.
By far, like 10 times in my opinion.
Oh yeah. What's the best state then that you've had other than California? What's the best wave? Yeah, because I mean you lived here all your life. What's the best state other than California that you got waves at?
On an ocean coast?
Yeah. Just best waves. Period.
I had a lot of fun on the Great Lakes, man.
Yeah, that looked amazing, by the way. You guys have to check that video out of Chad on Lake Superior. It's legit waves. Like, you think it looks like ocean.
Yeah, and
seriously.
The crazy thing is there, like, if you watch, Ben Brait has a video that breaks down the Great Lakes and surfing it. There's more coastline on all those lakes than there is up and down the East Coast and the West Coast.
Oh my gosh.
But the problem there is like a lot of the coastline is private property because it's people's houses, so you can't just.
Oh, right.
You know,
can't just pull up to the coast and go out.
Some spots you can, but a lot you can't. You know?
So there's people that have houses on those lakes that have epic waves right
Maybe.
in front, and they don't even know it.
Yeah,
They probably don't. No way they surf.
For
Who
sure.
knows? Wow, classic. Maybe retire there, and you could have your own surf spot.
Surf 5 times a year. No.
Well, I think we got a good picture of what Chad Stickney is all about and what he's doing. And dude, I'm so stoked you took the time to chat, man.
I definitely always come here for supplies, man. This is like the Costco of bodyboarding. I always tell my friends that.
I'll give you your $5 later for the free plug. For the
no, for sure. The board bags, I have this one right here.
The Costco of bodyboarding, our new slogan, minus the cheap pizza, though. Sorry, folks, I don't have that going on here, but
yeah, you have everything in the one-stop shop. Like,
thanks, man.
It's like a great place to come and gear up when I need gear, you know.
Cool. And he did today as he gets ready to head out in 4 days. So keep an eye on his YouTube channel. See where he's off to next. We're all pulling for you to finish all 50 states. And, you know, who knows how long it's going to take you. I'm thinking, you know, within a year you're going to be done. And then you can produce a video highlighting all 50 states. Is that the plan, maybe?
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Quick clips.
I'm stoked this trip because James Sowell, one of your
old school bodyboarders,
photographer, right?
Yep.
From back in the day, your generation, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's jumping in on the trip. He's into surf matting. He might try to surf mat all 50. Let's see what happens. But he's got the Black Magic camera, so
oh man,
we'll get some high quality stuff, hopefully.
Good stuff, man. Yeah. Well, that's going to do it, folks. Thanks for watching The Real Deal Show on YouTube and listening on the podcast. If you like what you saw, give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we're trying to release these shows every Sunday. Some weeks I miss, but most weeks I hit it. And that's going to do it for this week, folks. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the surf.